to open the Select Board meeting of June 30th, 2025 at 5:30 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 This meeting is being recorded by Marshfield Community Media. It is permissible for others to record this meeting. If anyone else is recording this meeting, can you please notify the Select Board now? I invite everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have an executive session lined up. Before I read the motion, I guess Chief Tavares, you want to have this a public session? In regards to this?
Yes, in full transparency for the whole town, I would like this to be in public session.
Okay. I think with that, Peter, just let him make his comments, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to point out to all in attendance, this is not a disciplinary hearing. There will be no evidence presented, no witnesses called, and no comments received from the public. The executive session was requested in response to a complaint received from a resident regarding an interaction with the police chief. The chief provided a report at my request in response, providing his version of events. The board's been provided with the resident's complaint, the chief's report and response, and a recorded conversation between the chief and the resident. The board can decide if they want to take no action, ask for a further investigation, or to proceed to a future disciplinary hearing. That is going to be what the board will be considering this evening. The chief is also a party to this. The only other people that we will be hearing from would be Attorney Galvin and myself. So.
The floor is yours, Chief Tavares.
Okay, before we begin, in consultation with my attorney, prior to the beginning, as a point of information, I am aware of the chair's close personal relationship between him and the complainant. It is because of this relationship that I sought counsel from the chair about how to approximately address my concerns. The chair suggested that I personally discuss the matter with Mr. Pesovich, which I attempted to do. I expected that they have had discussions on the matter as well. Therefore, I'd like to know whether the chair will be recusing himself from the discussions on this matter or if he intends to participate.
Participate.
Okay. I'm here to answer any questions you have about my character, my reputation, my mental health, or my physical health.
This is your session. I mean, unless the board has questions that you want them to take.
Well, I was called before the board because of those reasons I stated earlier, so I'm happy to answer any of them. I provided a written report as to my interactions with Mr. Pesovich, and I'll read that into the record if you'd like.
If you'd like to do that, I'll be honest with you, Chief. Us as a board have not had a chance to sit down ourselves and look this over, so I don't know where they stand on the whole matter. And the whole thing is that I think there's a lot more to go through, to be honest with you. But if you would like to read whatever you like to the record, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, so I would just ask, why am I here then? Because it's kind of unusual that a complaint comes in on Tuesday, and then by Thursday it's posted, and in less than a week I'm in front of the board. Now you're telling me that the board hasn't had any time?
In all honesty, Chief Tavares, this is my first go around with it. All right, so I feel my understanding was that we were going to have an executive session, and then it was going to be discussed in regards to the matter there. I was informed recently that this could be an open discussion upon your request now, I think, and it was going to be in the future. So I can't, that's all the information I could present to you in regards to the matter. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, unless
Mr.
my
Chair,
current board.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to let the public know is that the select board is not allowed to talk to each other outside of these meetings. So anytime we have to discuss something, we have to come together in front of the public. So with that in mind, you've kind of seen what's been going on in the last couple of weeks, us getting to know each other, communicate. I would like to, if I may, speak on this issue.
Be my guest.
Okay. So, do you mind if I share a little of the story?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So, Mr. Pesovich has a cable TV show, and he speaks about a lot of things. My name has been brought up. A lot of people in here have been brought up. Generally, I mean, I was campaigning. Things were said about me, but I just let it go. And as a public figure, I believe we're held to a standard that we should not contact people that say things to us. Now, our town administrator basically followed procedure when a complaint came in because Chief Tavares contacted Joe Pesovich to speak about what was said in his cable TV show. And he didn't appreciate what was said about him, okay? And I can understand that. However, I might have handled it differently. But you have a stellar career. And with that backing, I don't understand why it has turned into this. I don't understand why you were, like, I know we've gone down this road, but it's a different board. I just think all department heads need to be aware that there's procedures in place, that when things come up, they need to be brought before the select board, and this is where we hash it out, okay? And with that being said, I have looked over all of this matter, and I propose that we just, a simple verbal warning that this was not how this should have been done. It should have been ignored. Mr. Pesovich, he says a lot of things, and we just should just get on with this, and
Can I respond to that?
absolutely.
That is completely unacceptable. And I contacted Mr. Kelly because he oversees the police department. And I wanted him to know that the claims were being made about the police department. This isn't about me, okay? This is an allegation about a conspiracy amongst other town officials, me, the DA's office, that conspired to politically arrest him and prosecute him, to shut him up at town meeting because he asked too many questions and he challenges town officials. That's a crime. As the police chief, I expect public criticism. It rolls off my back. I believe in let them. Nothing personally bothers me. It rolls off my back. But when you start accusing town officials, the police chief, and the DA's office of conspiring to falsely arrest him and prosecute him for political reasons, that is a crime. And that's something that I have pride in the Marshfield Police Department about, and I wanted to just let Eric know that it wasn't true. He was the one that directed me to call Mr. Pesovich. Now, Mr. Kelly, I know you're new at this, but have you read the Selectman's Handbook?
Yeah.
Okay, are you aware that there's a section about citizens' complaints against employees?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware that Maya says it's a best practice to have a policy about complaints about citizens, from citizens to employees?
Can you repeat that again?
Do you have a policy that directly indicates how to handle complaints against town employees as a best practice that's listed in the Selectman's Handbook?
That I can't speak to.
Okay.
All I know is that when this came up, I did speak to the town administrator on this, and
The-
we both thought that this may warrant to go for.
Okay, the idea that they state in the handbook is to weed out frivolous complaints to be looked into. I don't even think this went to HR. This went right to this, faster than I've ever seen any other employee brought before the board. So this is not about me. It's about the integrity of our town, the police department, and the DA's office. by lies that were spread from an elected town official, Mr. Pesovich.
And do you want me to respond to that?
No, I'm here to answer questions. You want to play the video? I have the video ready to go with IT of what his complaints were on his television show. And it wasn't just his television show that maybe 50 people watch. It was posted on the Marshfield forum where 18.2 thousand people were able to view it.
I don't know, Town Administrator, what is acceptable during this session?
It's up to the board whether they want to or not. It's really, this is a question, if it would inform the board's decision as to whether or not further investigation is warranted, then you can play it. If you don't feel it's necessary, then you don't have to. It's up to the board.
You want to-
Play it, yeah.
Play it?
Okay, IT, could,
Hold on, Chief. Can you give me a vision to IT there, please? You can play it, put that video on, please?
okay.
At what point do we start in this, Chief, if you have it lined up?
It's starting right as he's ending speaking about Karen Reed.
Done to make sure it's going to be safe, it's going to be.
If that's the video in its entirety, I have a clip of it that IT has, and it's marked Exhibit 1.
Do you have Exhibit 1, IT? All right, all IT has the YouTube video. So Chief, do you know, I mean, I asked IT to get it, not knowing what we were supposed to do tonight, but I can possibly suggest a starting time if that's okay with you.
I have it on a thumb drive that IT has in that room back there, and that would be an appropriate start time. And if that's the same start time you have, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, the only thing is I don't know if they pull it together either, but I had it at the 3:40 mark and to end it around the 6-minute mark. So I don't know what you have.
Well, if you want to start it there, and I'll tell you if you have to go backwards.
All right, that's fine. IT, can you go to the 3:40 mark on this?
9 puncture holes, but on his arm there were 31 lacerations. So
You turn it up?
31 lacerations from a broken taillight through 9 small puncture holes, which are obviously dog bites, okay? It was so obviously a bad case and poorly run, poorly investigated. It was just a farce. And the state still spent all that money, and a lot of people came out. Why? Because of mistrust of the government, because of the blue line, because of the cops defending cops. And I got nothing against cops, okay? But that's what people perceive, that the government will do whatever it has to defend its own, to get what they want and spend unlimited funds, which they have because it's your tax dollars. And again, I don't want to overstate my situation, but when I was arrested, okay, and I was dragged through the system for 16 months, finally having to like borrow some money and raise money to pay for my defense, okay, when I had a public defender initially that said, Joe, you're never going to win this, you have to plead guilty. I said, I'm not guilty of anything. I fought the case. They dragged me through the system for 16 months. They put me on trial, on a 2-day trial in Plymouth Superior Court, and it took the jury less than 10 minutes to say, you're not guilty of all charges. What did the state spend on that? And when people ask the district attorney, why did you put Joe through that? My sources tell me that the answer was because the people in power in Marshfield wanted to get Joe. That's inside information. And the courtroom was full of Phil Tavares and Jim Robinson and all the mucky mucks in town. They were all there, oh boy, we're getting Joe now because he asked too many questions at town meeting. He asked too many questions, period. He challenges us too much. And it took the jury less than 10 minutes to say this is a joke, not guilty on all charges. And the way the town officials fled, they ran like rats from the courtroom. And Bob Parkus and the crowd of people that was there from a town, God bless them all, cheered and hugged me. And that was just like a tiny piece, a representation of what happened today with Karen Reed and what they put her through. Because the government will spend all your funds, all your money to defend themselves. And that's why there's so much mistrust of government. MBTA Communities Act, 40B, all the shenanigans at town meeting.
Are you good with that, Chief?
What did we just go through?
Good,
We just
Chief.
had
I
a town
see.
admin.
So again, this is not about me. I have 37 years of working for the town, unblemished record of success, accommodations, never had any type of discipline, ever. This is about an elected town official spreading mistruth about conspiracies and accusing us of committing crimes.
All right. So, Chief, I understand your thoughts in regards to what Joe said. I don't know if they're true or not, and in regards to the matter. But I guess answering your question in regards to why we're at this point, I would say, I believe Joe, you made comments, I think, that were, borderline threatening, in regards to Joe. He also said that he had me, up to now, never bothered me, implying that he let certain issues or possible legal violations by me slide. He said that I should get prepared to deal with what sounded like a campaign and onslaught from him against me. According to them, this is going to be a regular appearance during the select board meetings to express his opinions and thoughts about me and what he called my lies about him. All this seems based on what Tavares claims are false statements made about me, made by me about the personal and professional behavior of him and others in relation to the incidents that I was involved in Marshfield in 2010 in Pembroke in 2010, in Marshfield in 2010 and Pembroke in 2016, and my commentary on the 2010 matter on the cable access podcast program that I have. So I guess in regards to that, the potential threat there, and then I guess one thing that came that I had concerns with is you were trying to get Joe to converse with you on a recorded line at the police station. And the one thing I was wondering was that appropriate use of town equipment? And
You do realize I'm the police chief.
hold on. Look, everybody can laugh. The whole thing is that, everything has to be looked at here. So there's got to be questioned.
That's you.
Yes, that's me. It's right.
Would you like me to answer that question for you?
Go ahead, Chief.
This is in regards to statements that were made to diminish public trust, integrity, and credibility of the police department. I am the police chief, and Joe Pesovich has a propensity to lie. So I wanted to protect myself and also protect him so that we would have a record of exactly what was said. So false allegations like he's making in the second phone call that wasn't recorded wouldn't happen. He invited me to call him on a non-recorded line, but would not speak to me on a recorded line.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Can I just finish up? So, all right, so you'll look at it, see, this is the thing I just don't know in regards to what you're saying. And you could be telling the truth, it's just that I don't.
I am.
That's fine, but the whole thing is that was my concern in regards to using the recorded line on this matter.
Right.
And the whole thing is, when you say the police department, are you making, I know Joe made comments to you in regards to you being at the courthouse, and you denied that wholeheartedly.
That's right. I was never there.
So, but the whole thing is you're basing it on Joe's overall comments of the show in regards to, I guess.
This isn't about me. He might have been mistaken and thought he saw a twin of mine, but I wasn't there. This is about his statements about public corruption and conspiracies that were politically motivated to shut him up at town meeting. That's what this is about. He was an elected town official was undermining the public trust, credibility, and integrity of the police department. I am the police chief. I called from a recorded line to document exactly what would happen so that he wouldn't make up any lies about it. It was to protect him and to protect me. He chose not to talk on that, so I called him from an unrecorded line.
And when you called it from the unrecorded line, to my understanding, reading, I think you wrote as well as I think there was someone online that posted that you had a number of people listening in on that conversation.
That's right. I don't trust him because of his propensity to lie. So I protected myself, and I had 2 other people present that witnessed the exact conversation.
Wasn't Joe informed of?
No, he wasn't, and I don't have to inform him of that, and it's not illegal, as long as I didn't record it.
Okay. I mean, these are the things that I look at, and I just don't know in regards to the legalities of thing and all that. So,
Ask Attorney Galvin.
what's that?
You can ask Attorney Galvin.
I could, but the problem is that this is what the situation with I was looking at the board was because, especially after I think 2 weeks ago in regards to Attorney Galvin's nomination coming up as for town council again. You spoke highly of him and,
Right.
and everything.
Just like,
The whole thing is that, much like, I just don't know if it would be appropriate or look good upon the board to have town council oversee this matter or give us advice, and that's why I was,
Sure.
In my opinion, that's why I was looking,
That's his job.
in my opinion, I was just looking for outside counsel to give us the best advice, and then we go from there.
okay, so in the same thread of your philosophy about Attorney Galvin,
Yeah.
isn't it true that you've sat on a number of matters with Joe Pesovich, including giving statements to the press and at the Housing Authority hearing in advocating for him and actually calling the hearing a witch hunt? So you've done the exact same thing.
No, the thing is that there was basis for
Yes.
it. There was basis, please, everybody. There was basis for it.
You still did it.
I did, because there was basis. I mean, I called it how I saw it.
So did he.
There was problems, the meetings I've been there, and the way the meetings were conducted.
Mr. Chair.
There was issues that I deemed concerning of the Housing Authority. So if you're talking about the hearing for Joe in regards to my comments afterwards, I will stand behind him.
Mr. Chair, can I?
Yeah, you can speak. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Chief, just a quick question. You mentioned that you felt a crime had been committed when Joe spoke like that. At that point, why didn't you reach out to town council? Or because you felt that he had committed a crime by saying those things, that?
Because town council doesn't oversee the police department, the select board does, and I reached out to the chair.
Okay. All right.
You reached out to the chair to state in regards to Joe's comments, but you didn't say, can you reach out to town council to address it, right?
That would be your job, if I bring something to your attention, to reach out to him, not mine.
Well, no, because I was just looking at trying to. Hey, can I talk, please?
Get to the point. Get to the point. Where are we going with this thing?
So the whole thing is that in our conversation by texting, I was just looking at trying to smooth over it. You didn't give me. I was in the impression that that I knew you were upset about it, but not to the point of where I guess it's been going to, and even up to right now. I guess you.
I didn't file the initial complaint, but I have filed a counter complaint, and I hope you'll take it serious.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a complaint filed. I think we're just doing our process here in regards to everything, you know, and there's, I think, some concerns, and I think that's what we're trying to do right now, you know? I don't think we're looking to, I mean, everybody thinks that I'm not gonna say my other two boys, but because what I see in the post is looking to tank you. I'm just looking to see if there was any wrongdoing and then address it and then move on. That's the end of what I'm looking at, you know?
Well, yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and if so be, if you want to waste the taxpayers' money on an independent third-party investigation, I'm all for it.
I don't know, wouldn't consider it wasting the taxpayers' money.
So you always talk about wasting the taxpayers' money.
Save us money.
This never went to HR to get ruled out as frivolous.
I mean, hold on, let's put it this way. Bob, would you think that you would want to step away from this, or do you think you would want to be part of it? I guess you could ask.
First of all, I filed a disclosure today to prevent there being any appearance of a conflict. I disclosed that Chief Tavares, I know to be a career police officer, now chief of police. As town council over the last 12 years, I've had countless dealings with him in his capacity as police chief, including communications regarding events, litigation, gun appeals, accidents, emergency management, and criminal matters. Chief Tavares and I also live in the same neighborhood, but we do not socialize on any type of a regular basis. We are always cordial and say hello to one another frequently. Chief Tavares recently spoke in favor of the Select Board reappointing me in his capacity as police chief, and I affirmed under the penalties of perjury that I believe that I could act procedurally, fairly and impartially as town council, and I filed that with the Select Board and the town clerk earlier today. On the process alone, I think we're proceeding the way these are supposed to proceed. I would not want to be involved and haven't been involved in outside investigations were there to be an outside investigation.
Okay, so when you and I spoke a couple of days ago in regards to this pending matter, you gave me the thought that you should not be part of it. And you're saying that you should be, but you file disclosure.
If you choose to have an outside investigation, I'd be asking the Select Board to choose somebody else other than me. And that's kind of the way it's actually gone over the 12 years. On a process, I filed the disclosure because I believe that I can be fair and impartial, including as it relates to Chief Tavares, including as it related to former town administrators, including as it relates to any other employee of the town. I would not act in any matter involving a direct family member or any matter with someone that I was a business partner with. But this matter, I believe I can act fairly impartially and advise the board on the process alone, and I submitted a memo to that effect today.
All right, so what you're saying is that from what we conversed a couple of days ago, you have changed your thoughts on it, and you said you think that you can be impartial in helping the board make a correct decision in regards to how to go about this.
I'm not going to tell you what to do in this matter, but I can tell you the rules. And you told me that you felt I had a conflict of interest. I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, but you agreed.
If I agreed, I would not have filed the disclosure I did today.
Well, I mean, you filed it today, and I don't think I've seen it, to be honest with you, but either way. But, I mean, if the board's open to you being, to helping us out, then I'm all for it.
I do not want to, I want to make it crystal clear. I do not want to be an investigator involving any allegations involving Chief Tavares or Mr. Pasevich.
Do not want to be the investigator.
I do not want to be the investigator. I think I'd be whatever Mr. Moran would recommend, or anybody that he or anybody else would recommend would be okay with me, but I'm not going to participate in that.
All right, so, I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand here. So, as counsel, you could be counsel to the Select Board, but if there's an investigation, you don't want any part of it.
I don't do the investigations, haven't done the investigations, and I'm not looking to do any investigation if that's the direction the board heads in.
All right. I don't know, I don't have enough information to go one way or the other on this unless I can get counsel. So, I mean, I don't know what you two want to do in regards to it. So-
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in. So first of all, I would say that this isn't my first go-around, and that in the past, whenever we receive a complaint, we empower our professional staff to collect and gather more information, and we work with HR before we put something on the agenda for something as serious as an executive session. I would also say that I trust what I see with my own eyes, and I can confidently say that there's not a shred of truth to a single word that Joe said in this entire episode. And the question for Chief Tavares is, how much of your career have you dedicated towards building trust with your community? Why is that important? And what are the consequences for when that trust gets eroded and unravels?
I've spent 37 years under the leadership of my former chief, Bill Sullivan, who's here tonight, who mentored me. He was the chief for 28 years. I wouldn't be the man that I am today without him. And I take extreme pride in our police department. My goal from the time I was 18 years old was to join a police department, professionalize it, climb the ranks, and uphold the highest standards. And just last week, we received certification, which I thought I was going to be able to present to the board tonight, but unfortunately this came up, so I can't. But last week we were officially awarded certification through the state of Massachusetts, which is a voluntary process that shows that we adhere to the best business practices in the industry. Defamatory, slanderous, or libel statements that undermined the public trust, integrity, and credibility of the police department causes complete chaos. If you can't trust the police, who can you trust? And those statements were very serious statements. They alleged a conspiracy crime with sources, inside information, nothing to it.
And I think it will be important to provide some context, too, for how this unfolded and developed. So Joe's been around for 20 years. We all know there's a pattern of behavior where he makes extreme accusations against people, whether it be fraud or corruption or embezzlement without a shred of evidence. So we know that's a pattern of behavior. So he makes these accusations on his show, and he references himself, his incident where he sent the middle school into a lockdown and was arrested. And then in Pembroke, not even in Marshfield, his incident in Pembroke where he dressed up like a terrorist and waved around a real-looking knife and thought that was a good idea. Apparently, you were behind that arrest as well. So,
well, I could stop you for a second and say that the deputy chief of the Pembroke Police Department is here. At some point, you'd want to hear the truth from her.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we know there's a pattern and there's a history there. And so all you did was you reached out to the chair and let him know that since he supervises the police department, that a close friend of his is making accusations that there's not a shred of evidence to back up or prove. And he encouraged you to reach out to Mr. Pasevich, is that correct?
That's correct.
And given his history of making extreme accusations without evidence, you thought it would be wise to make the call on a recorded line so there would be no mincing of words or he said, she said accusations. There would be a record of what was discussed. Is that right?
That's correct.
And when you spoke to him on the phone, you let him know that it was a recorded line, and he acknowledged that he was aware it was a recorded line.
Correct.
And he told you that he was happy to have a conversation on a non-recorded line, but that he had to hurry and get off the phone because he was going to church.
That's correct.
Few days later, you did call him on a non-recorded line, and big shocker, he makes a bunch of crazy accusations that can't be proven because there's no record of the phone call.
Correct, other than I had two other witnesses who can corroborate the truth.
And what truth would those witnesses corroborate?
That I never threatened him or intimidated him. I was only giving him the opportunity to set the record straight on his own show so that I wouldn't have to publicly come out and do this.
And is it true that when you spoke to him on the non-recorded line, he expressed his wishes that you were talking on a recorded line?
Correct.
So he vacillated between two different positions depending on the nature of the phone call?
That's correct.
And all you did was reach out to give him an opportunity to do a retraction himself on his show, or that you would go before the public and the select board in a public meeting and issue a correction for the record yourself.
That's correct.
And would it be fair to say that based on your personal family history, that trust between the community and the police is extremely important to you?
Absolutely. Would you like to know how we ended the phone call?
I would.
He called me a mean son of a bitch.
You know, if I just had to encapsulate this, I would say that if we can't make the simple decisions, I don't know how we can solve complex issues, because at the end of the day, right, you have to consider the credibility of the parties involved, right? On the one hand, we have someone who's been in the public eye for 20 years who has had a number of highly publicized incidents with a wide variety of groups of different people, and his version of events always drastically differs from every other party and witness to that event. He has a history of making false accusations of corruption and fraud and embezzlement without a shred of evidence. In fact, he's done that to the director of the Quincy Housing Authority. And by the way, he's been on the board for 2 years now, still hasn't produced a shred of evidence, but he has no issue putting someone's livelihood at risk, accusing them of false statements and throwing out extreme accusations without evidence. And in addition to that, he's always fighting with everyone. I'm pretty sure that if his neighbor was Mr. Rogers, they wouldn't get along. On the other hand, we have another person who has a sterling record and reputation with this town spanning decades. And this is someone whose life story is that of a young man who lost his father, who died from injuries he sustained in police custody. And instead of allowing his life to be consumed with hatred and toxicity and vitriol, like a lot of us would, and contributing to the world's problems and deepening that divide within society, he dedicated his life to reforming the system from within to make sure that didn't happen to anyone again. And so, I'm sorry you're going through this. I mean, in my opinion, this should be dismissed with extreme prejudice, and we should open an investigation into Mr. Kusevich and his conduct on the Housing Authority. Thank you.
Repeat that, please.
Make a motion. We should nominate you
So,
as chairman.
so I just want to state that I am one of three that has oversight of the police department. I do not oversee the police department. And the other thing is that, excuse me, I apologize, thank you. I just want to state that I do not have oversight of the police department. All three of us have oversight of the police department. So for Mr. Darcy to make those comments would be inaccurate, in my opinion. The other thing is that we're here. Now, maybe there were things that should have gone first, but the reason we're here is because I spoke to the town administrator when all this was going on, and he says, yeah, we probably should have an executive session and discuss this. So it's not like I just said, made a decision, let's go to executive session. I had a discussion on it. And so if there was something, if there was something that was skipped in the process of this, then, you know, something, I apologize. That was not intentional by any means. Okay, right. You know, so.
You put her on the agenda, Mr. President.
So the whole thing is that I put it on the agenda, you're correct, but with getting some sound advice, in my opinion. So this is not intentional to go out and just throw it on there and try to look like I'm sandbagging you in any way, all right? So the whole thing is that this is where we're at. And so now, you know, the decisions have to be made in regards to how we go forward. And the whole thing is that I myself, I would, you know, I would look at it that I think for the air of transparency amongst everybody, I think this should be further looked into. Hey, he's quiet. And you know something? What comes out of it?
Quit.
Then that's what it is.
Step down.
So
Tom, get out of here.
be quiet, please.
Okay.
Hey, can I do. I have a relationship with the chief as well.
Yeah, it seems really good, too. Every person.
So the whole thing is that the motion, I will put forward, I guess there'll be probably several motions to put forward, but,
Eric,
Put your motion forward.
so the whole thing is that, is there a motion
Steve,
to investigate this further? Or I should say, is there a motion to take no action?
Steve,
Do I have a second?
Second, to take no action.
Take no action.
Bob, question for you.
Dismissal, prejudice,
I mean,
no action.
dismissal, no action, I mean, legally, ostensibly, is that the same, or,
Yes. Yes, it is.
okay, for all legal purposes, it's the same? All right, I will second that motion.
yourself, Eric.
too late.
All right, there's only a second. I'm going to say no to that.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 2-1.
Could I just make a final statement?
Sure.
I'd like to thank this town that's full of wonderful people that have always come in support of each other, whether it's during a storm or whether it's a child that's suffering from cancer or it's for backing each other up and always doing the right thing. And I want to thank everyone that came out here to do this. Thank you. And I also want to set the record straight that My last thing is I want to set the record straight that there was some chatter online on social media and also an article in the Patriot Ledger that mentioned the leak of the letter that I received, and there was some inference that it might have come from Town Hall, and I don't believe that whatsoever, and I have found Mr. Moran to be an upstanding, incredible town administrator, and I hope that he stays.
Those playgrounds. No, this is it.
No, we're.
MBTA.
No, I was going to do it at the end.
Okay. Good, yeah.
I was gonna just have a quiet summer on the beach, sitting at home. Mr. Brady.
See you later, brother. How you doing?
How are you, bud? Good to see you.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to call for like a 5-minute break.
an interim.
All right? Steve, I'm going to call for a 5-minute break. All right?
Oh,
Need a motion to take a 5-minute break? Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Back into order. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Okay, so the first item on the agenda is a discussion and vote on board reorganization. Does the board or does any of the board members have any comments they would like to make?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the board organization stands following discussion. Stands, it stays,
Stays as is?
following discussion.
All right. All right, so Steve, you have anything to discuss?
So, you mean you want it to stay exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything to add.
I'd like to discuss.
Sure.
Okay. Again, I'd like to start by sharing something that many residents might not be aware of, and I already referred to this. Select board members are not permitted to discuss board matters outside of these public meetings. What you've witnessed over the past 2 months is a new board. 3 individuals who came together as relative strangers, learning how to communicate, collaborate, and understand one another in a public setting. Mr. Darcy brings 5 years of experience to the board. Mr. Kelly has served for 1 year, and I bring 2 months into my term. While I respect Mr. Darcy's service, I cannot support his nomination for chair at this time. As demonstrated during previous meetings, I believe there is still concerns around how he engages with residents. As for myself, I recognize that I have not yet earned the full trust of the community, nor have I gained enough experience to serve as chair. That brings me to Mr. Kelly. While he assumed the chair position earlier than expected in his tenure, I believe he deserves the opportunity to continue in that role. As an educator, I work every day with individuals who are in the process of learning and growing. It would be inconsistent with my values to withhold that same opportunity for growth from a colleague. Yes, there have been moments of frustration among board members, but that doesn't negate Mr. Kelly's potential to learn from these experiences and continue developing as a leader. Ultimately, we all want the same thing, what's best for Marshfield. To achieve that, we need to listen to each other with mutual respect and work together in good faith. In that spirit, I move to keep the board leadership as it is.
Okay, so I'm going to motion to keep the status of the way the select board is set up in regards to its organization. Yeah, you know something, I'll get to that afterwards. Thank you. So,
What if it's related to this and you want to make a comment prior to your vote?
well, I think this
This is your meeting.
is, I get that. It's already been set in regards to how we're going to, the board, so. So I'm going to make a motion to keep the board as is, as Eric Kelly as chair, Steve Darcy as vice chair, and Tricia Simpson as clerk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, my apologies for skipping the public comments. That was not intentional.
Another procedural error.
Hey, there's a lot going on tonight.
Every meeting.
You want to get up and speak?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Go ahead.
wait, no, we have a.
Oh, actually, the sheet, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Tom Duffy, no, actually, no, yeah, Tom Duffy, Brighton Street. Don Clark, T-Rock Gardens.
Don Clark, T-Rock Gardens. A lot of what I was going to say is pretty mute at this point, seeing we already went over it. But in my opinion, Mr. Darcy should be chair because of his experience and his knowledge of the procedural way the meeting should run. And my second choice would be Ms. Simpson, because she obviously did her homework before she got on this job. Eric, to me, you're a disgrace, and I would like to see a recall.
Okay. Laurie Sweeney.
Mr. Chair and the board, Mr. Kelly, permission to ask you one question before I start? Are you familiar with parliamentary procedure or Robert's Rules?
To a degree.
Okay. So back in 2004, there was a housing meeting, and you voted not to have anything proceed from Mr. Pekovich at that time. And at that time, when you voted, you actually said flat out, I am voting no, and you all know he's my friend. And you were on the board. So are you familiar with the conflict of interest laws in Massachusetts? Okay. Is that not a conflict? That he's your friend? Because I can read this to you. You tell me if this is a conflict.
I think it comes down to.
Just a minute, just a minute. A municipal employee may not act in a manner that would cause a reasonable person to think that she would show favor towards someone or that she can be improperly influenced. You have done it multiple times. You have committed multiple procedural errors. If the board is choosing to maintain you as chair, then I say, as citizens, we file a complaint with the Secretary of State based on these procedural errors. It should be the board doing this, but we can do it as citizens. We can bring it forward. And you can be fined up to $10,000. You aware of that?
No.
Well, you can be. Okay. You are 15 months into your term, so I disagree with Ms. Simpson. Give him more time. That is half your term. You are asking Mr. Galvin basic, that's why I asked you about parliamentary procedures. You were asking basic,
All right,
elementary
2
questions.
minutes are up.
Hold on, point of order with Mr. Galvin. If we haven't consistently enforced the 2-minute speaking limit, can we arbitrarily start enforcing it now?
I think that's up to the board to decide, not me.
Okay.
I'm gonna-
I'm almost done. I was just going to
You know, all right,
say.
you know something? No, all right, if you're-
Okay,
if you're-
nobody is going to deny you asking questions. It's always welcomed, but not when they're elementary, procedural, that you should have studied. You know the saying, you know, prepare, fail to prepare. Do you know it? And you will fail, right? You're never prepared for these meetings. You're asking basic questions on articles. This town has major issues to address, major. And you have come out running to get people out of office. And it's no big secret. It has been a hit list for 2 years on Facebook with your supporters. Let's get rid of Darcy. Let's get rid of Galvin. Let's get rid of Tavares, okay? This is not your personal playground. And Maresco, yeah. So you need to step up or step down. And the citizens now, since the board doesn't want to reorganize, I say we go forward and go for a recall.
Peg Davis. Peg Davis here? Don Gibson?
Hi, Don Gibson, 815 Union Street. Are you going to vote tonight on whether or not to issue the proclamation on Pride Month? Is that,
It's on the agenda.
it's on the agenda, all right. Well, thank you very much. It was on a former agenda and someone took it off. I just wanted to make sure. I'd like to urge the board to issue the proclamation. There are constituents who are looking to you for leadership as far as their acceptance in our Marshfield community. Whether you vote in favor of the proclamation or against it, they'll still be here the next day. But I can tell you, because there's 2 people that I'm very close to, 2 people that I love, who are members of the gay community. They're hardworking, they're honest, they vote, they're good citizens. But unfortunately, there are members like them in the community that have to stay in the shadows because town officials won't summon the courage to say, look, you are members of this community, you have every right to exercise the rights that a community member has, and we want to support you in that endeavor. So I was appalled that this vote is coming at the end of the month rather than at the beginning. But I still think it's a very important statement for you to make. And as far as someone saying, well, we don't like to issue those because it's political. If we issue the proclamation, it's political. No, you're missing the point. If you fail to issue the proclamation, that's political. Thank you very much.
Carol Strand. Carol Strand. I think is it Heidi Conway or Heidi? I don't know what the last name is. Either Conway, okay.
Hi, I am Heidi Conway, Marginal Street. I just wanted, I'm on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and so I probably won't be reappointed now that I'm coming up here. However, I do want to make it clear that it's really important to follow the rules and procedural, and it is very important on all the boards, especially yours, to be prepared when you come, to know what is in your binder, to understand what's in your binder, and to find out everything you can about every rule that you have in front of you. Because what you're showing the town is that you are unprepared, and you are governing our town. And it's very scary to watch. Regardless of who's in there, that is your job, is to be prepared. You vowed to be prepared and do the right thing. That is not happening. And you have been in, Mr. Kelly, you directly have been in office for quite some time, that there's not one thing that's come up that you should not have already looked at or understood about appointments or anything else. And I just think you're doing the town a disservice, and I'd like you to come prepared. I would like you all to be prepared. And it's okay for people to be frustrated with the way things are happening. Sometimes the way they're said are not, appropriate. We have it at zoning all the time, but people want the truth, and people want people to be prepared, and they want to know what to expect from their town leaders. And right now, what we're getting is not what we expected and not what you promised. That's all.
Thank you, Heidi. All right, that's that. Actually, you know something? Do you have a report to give?
No. Nope, not tonight.
Okay, so we have action item number 2, discussion and vote to proclaim June 2025 as Pride Month in the town of Marshfield. Is there any discussion or comments from any of my board members on it?
Sure. This is the third year we've tried to do this. The first year it was a 3-0 vote. Last year it was a 2-1 vote. So far this year it was on the agenda at the wishes of the majority of the board, and then it was pulled, which was part of the genesis for our previous action item, which was the reorganization of the board, because at the end of the day, the chair of the select board is the servant of this great body, not its master. And if the majority of the board wants something on the agenda, it should be on the agenda. And what we're talking about here are people who live in our community, their friends and relatives, people who work for this town, they work in this building, they work in public safety. And this is important, and words do matter. And I touched on this before, but LGBTQ youth in that 10 to 14-year-old age bracket, they're 4 times more likely to attempt suicide. And that's attempt suicide. 41% of them have considered it. Having just one accepting adult in their life significantly reduces the rates of suicide attempts. The feeling that they live in an accepting community has the same effect. Living in an accepting community lowers the rate of suicide attempts significantly. So that's why I think these proclamations are extremely important. I don't think it's political to talk about people in your community and let them know that even though historically they felt that they had to hide in the shadows for fear of persecution, that just because they weren't seen before doesn't mean they haven't been here this whole time. And just because you don't understand something doesn't mean you have to look down on it or stick your nose up at it. I mean, the arguments that there's something about it that just isn't natural. I mean, we have billions of people on this friggin' planet, and you're gonna tell me that with all the hormones and epigenes and genes that are involved over a 9-month pregnancy, that there are only 2 possible and absolute outcomes every single time, I think is kind of silly. I also think about the fact that there's criticism that, oh, well, it's not natural because they can't procreate. Well, on any given day in this country, we have 368,000 children in the foster care system. And what a terrible thing it would be for them to get a second chance to grow up in a loving home with a roof over their head and someone rooting for them every single day, and to wake up and see a living example that you can be and you should be loved and accepted for who you are, and that that person is out there for you. So on just so many different levels, I think this is extremely important. This is a very pragmatic and practical thing to do, and we're talking about human beings here. So I think we should pass this for the third year in a row. I don't think this is political, just as passing a proclamation to recognize Purple Heart veterans and making Marshfield a Purple Heart community isn't political. And it saddens me that here we are at the end of the month, and we're just now taking up a vote to recognize Pride Month in Marshfield. And so my suggestion to the board that just for 2025, I would recommend that we recognize both June and July as Pride Month to make up for lost time. Thank you.
Do you have anything to say, Trish?
Yeah. I'm proud to support Pride Proclamation. It sends a clear message that Marshfield values and respects all individuals regardless of their sexual orientation. While this may seem like a symbolic gesture to some, we must recognize that not every community offers a sense of welcome and belonging. Marshfield distinguishes itself as a place of inclusion, compassion, and respect. At the same time, I want to acknowledge and respect Mr. Kelly's perspective on proclamations. His intent is not to marginalize any group, but to ensure that we keep federal politics separate from local decision-making. This had been a principle I upheld throughout my campaign, even when that stance invited criticism. Each of us was elected to represent a diverse constituency, and that means listening to all voices, including those who we may not support certain ideals. Their views, too, deserve a place in our conversations. When did it become unacceptable to hold differing opinions? Kindness begins with truly listening to one another and finding common ground. Disagreement should not result in division or hostility. We are better than that. Marshfield is better than that. Let's lead with empathy, respect, and a renewed commitment to civility in our community.
Is that it? Thank you. What I'll say is that, to say proclamations are not political, I think anytime you have to take a vote on something, it's political. I and Steve, about a month ago, conversed by email in regards to this matter and try to work out some kind of compromise that would be acceptable to him and I in regards to this situation. I believe when I threw it out to Steve, the conversation ended right there. So it's not like I didn't try to work to meet halfway in regards to this matter without actually taking a vote on this. I was open to doing something.
That's
So.
a violation of the board that you were discussing.
Well, hey, do whatever you want with it. I'm just gonna let you know.
I'm just saying, Ms. Simpson just brought that up. That you can't, that's an obstacle. You can't just
So, I will.
This guy's gonna get this town sued. 1,000%.
So I'm gonna bring forward a motion for this. Is there a motion to proclaim the month of June 2025 as Pride Month in the town of Marshfield? Do I have a second?
I just have one question for Trish. How do you feel about June and July for 2025, since here we are at the end of the month?
Works for me.
Okay.
So let's do that. So June and July?
Yes.
So is there a motion to proclaim the month of June and July of 2025 as Pride Month in the town of Marshfield? Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, action number 3, discussion and vote on hiring the Collins Center or any other possible option for town administrator search and how the select board will proceed in moving forward to fill the town administrator position and progress on town administrator search committee. So have you guys thought about the hiring of the Collins Center, or is there anything else that you guys, you want to have other options out there in regards to finding a town administrator? Steve?
I'm comfortable with the Collins Center, and it's just so difficult because, right, I've seen search committees appointed, I've seen them produce a good outcome, I've seen them produce bad outcomes, and it's just so hard because you can only learn so much from someone from a piece of paper and a 1-hour Q&A, whereas if there's someone who has personal knowledge or a personal relationship to make an assessment based on their experience and observations, I think you get better outcomes, right? So, for example, we hired Peter not because we saw a piece of paper that really spoke out to us, but because Bob Calvin said, I can tell you in my professional experience that he does this for a living now. He's retired full-time town administrator. He's been a consultant part-time. And based on Bob's direct observations and his Rolodex, that he could make a professional assessment of Peter's capabilities, right? And I can tell you so many times that there's been difficult times where you're picking from an applicant pool and it's just really hard to make that assessment. Whereas the Collins Center has that network of connections and that Rolodex where they can talk to people who have direct observations and experience to make a fuller and more holistic assessment. So I think when there's that absence of those direct and personal observations, that we should always use a search firm to hire really important and key positions like this. And for anyone who didn't catch our last meeting, it's basically $7,000 up front and then $7,000 on the back end, and that's the cost. And if you get the decision wrong, it's gonna cost you a heck of a lot more than that $14,000. So again, just the fact that they have those connections in that network and they can look beyond just the South Shore. Like, our knowledge base is probably pretty localized and pretty limited. They're gonna have a network across the entire state to reach into. And again, their recommendation was that they're gonna be there every step of the way to assist, but they want us to appoint a citizen committee to vet and interview and make recommendations, and that their only recommendation was that just don't put town employees on the search committee and don't put someone on there with an axe to grind. So I think their experience and knowledge in combination with those guidelines makes a lot of sense. So I'm firmly committed to moving forward with the Collins Center.
Trish, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I feel like if we have other search committees, firms come in, they're going to have the same pool of applicants. What I did like about the Collins Center is that they said we can drive where they're looking too. So we're kind of at we're the drivers and they're just, helping it come together. Whereas we can't sit here and interview a bunch of people that come in and go through that. It's very time consuming, so that they would vet the people before they go to the 5 at-large citizens that would then have conversations with them, find out their leadership skills, find out all their skills before they're presented to us. So I'm in agreement with Steve.
Okay, so I think you both made good points. It was something that I was kind of leaning towards, but I wasn't too sure. I wanted to get your feedback on it and see if there was any other options you wanted to go forward. And so let's move this along. I move to authorize the interim town administrator to enter an agreement with the Collins Center to assist in the search for the town administrator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 All right. Discussion and vote on town playground committee. This has been a hot topic item. It's something that I have reservations on for some reasons, but I believe Diane wants to speak on it. So Diane, if you want to throw your thoughts out there, please do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hearing this. Okay, so I'm representing the residents' desire for a town playground committee. As you know, there's never been one before, and we have a void where playgrounds were never put under any town organization, with the exception that the DPW is in charge of maintenance, but they never got any funding for maintenance. So there are 3 to 5 parents interested in being in this committee. They're passionate about the future of our playgrounds. They have excellent skills, knowledge, and experience to apply. So some of these qualifications are including having children with disabilities and their friends, Masters of Education, Bachelor of Science, co-chair of the Boston Children's Neuroscience Advisory Council, Mass Health Advisory Council, Board of Impact Athletics, chair of the Super LE Fund, members and co-president of the PTO, aide for MPSD Special Education Bus, yearly fundraising through the Beat Childhood Cancer Foundation, a lawyer, a project manager, members of the ADA committee. They've been working with Andrew on the playgrounds for quite a while. They've already acquired 5 nonverbal boards for the playgrounds through their own fundraising efforts. And they have awesome ideas for future corporate sponsorships, events at the playgrounds to bring all the kids and families together, and ongoing fundraising. Sean and I have met and talked with them. We want the select board to make this an official town committee so that the future work they do is trackable through regular meetings, meeting minutes, regular check-ins with the DPW and the Board of Public Works and the select board if you choose, communication and coordination with any other town departments that may be applicable. This committee would not be involved in the current project of getting the playgrounds up to code, but they will be very valuable in keeping the playgrounds nice, helping to expand on new potential areas if that's needed and wanted, supporting the DPW efforts to get a budget line item for maintenance at town meeting and more. This committee would be separate from the DPW's Tower Ave Field Working Group Committee, for which we have 3 other residents. If there's any worry about the use of this chamber, the playground committee can meet at the DPW meeting room, so no worries about scheduling on your end. Marshfield has an electronic sign at Canal Street that says Marshfield needs you. Join a board or committee. Here we have several people who are passionately trying to create a needed town playground committee. I'd be very surprised if the select board doesn't jump at this opportunity to form a town playground committee with these extremely qualified individuals. And I really hope that you're not still thinking of combining the playground committee with any other committee, particularly the ADA committee, considering that the existing ADA membership has not reached out yet to the new people that you appointed. And as I previously stated, the playgrounds need their own. So please form a town playground committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I mean, just reading what is written here, the makeup of the committee, the building commissioner, representative from ADA, representative from DPW.
I'm sorry, what are you reading?
With the agenda, so the motion.
Okay, so that was like a month and a half ago. Those were just ideas that I threw out to the group that was supposed to get together for the combination meeting that we ended up having at the DPW meeting room, and then had another meeting here. So those were just ideas. So the playground inspector does not need to be part of the playground committee. They are very capable of handling this, as you can tell from the qualifications I listed. And I imagine they would be getting the playground inspector's reports, of course, but the idea is that in between inspections, they have eyes on all the playgrounds. So if anything gets broken, anything goes wrong, anything's needed, they would come to the DPW for it. It would be up to the playground committee to reach out, to recreation if they are going to have events there, to help coordinate that. But they would definitely be advising and reporting back to the DPW on whatever they're wanting to work on in terms of what they're fundraising for. It would be a coordinated effort, but the playground inspector would not be on the part of the committee. I don't think we need to put that on Andrew.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering when I was looking over this list. I was like, well, I don't know if the building commission needs to be on it. maybe a representative from the ADA committee. And that's the thing, like I talked to Bud, and Bud Duxter has interest in this. He was supposed to be here tonight, but I guess things,
Sorry, who's Bud?
is the ADA chair.
Okay, right.
You probably know him most through his capacity at Peter Ago Park.
That's true.
Oh, right, yes, okay.
So
Great, so,
I spoke to him, and he has interest in this. So he said, when I spoke to him, he felt that between the ADA and the playgrounds, they both have, how can you look at it, that they intertwine with each other, in my opinion.
in some capacities, yes, but not all.
Hoping that he'd be here tonight, but he says he just got bogged down with some work, so he wouldn't be able to make it, but he would be here the 14th to have further discussion on it. So, would you be open to at least hearing from Bud and see what he has to say, considering he's with the ADA committee?
I mean, I guess I'd always be interested in hearing anything that anybody has to say. I'm open to all opinions, but I think the fact that he's not here and the ADA committee hasn't met in like a year might speak to the efficiency of that committee. And these residents that want to make the playground committee are highly efficient, very driven, motivated people that are asking to have the select board form a committee because they're already doing the work. And 2 of them are on the ADA committee. You appointed them. So there definitely would be overlap in that way already.
All right, so there's 2 people that you've signed up for the ADA committee, for the playground committee that are on the ADA committee.
I haven't signed anybody up because the select board has not formed the committee.
The list of people that you have put.
2 of them have been appointed to the ADA committee,
Okay.
yes. And so they would be on both. But as you can see from the list, I don't know when they sleep. I mean, they do, so many other things.
That's like the rest of us.
Right, yeah.
So, Steve, do you have any comments to this?
Yes. So just for folks who are tuning in, just so they know that, the DPW, they're not waiting on the playground committee in terms of the bid and the RFP. That's all moving along right now. You guys are obviously on top of that. Like, this is just I don't want them to get confused. Like,
Right.
Yes. So.
Exactly, yeah. The DPW is moving forward with bringing the playgrounds up to code, getting the bids together. This is for the future of the playgrounds. Once they're done, they're not going to be involved in the current project of getting them up to code. But there's no reason not to form this committee now because they can be, up and running and working. Fundraising takes a long time.
Yeah.
So they have their eyes on the future, definitely, of all the playgrounds.
Totally, yeah. You articulated that well. I just don't want anyone to get confused and just to know that that's what's
Yes.
still moving forward with the bids and the design and things of that.
Absolutely, thank you.
And in terms of the scope of the responsibilities for the playground committee, you mentioned fundraising and putting together kind of a maintenance budget and things of that nature.
Well, the DPW has gone in the past to the select board, capital, town meeting, and didn't get on town meeting article for maintenance for playgrounds. So I'm hopeful that with all of the attention to playgrounds that we will be successful in getting funding, a maintenance line item. But I think adding, the efforts of the playground committee to the DPW's efforts for that maintenance line item would be definitely helpful. Plus, they do fundraising. I mean, they really do it well. And the DPW is not going to do fundraising. But for any projects that would require CPA funds, obviously the DPW would do that piece because the department has to do that piece.
Sure, yep.
You could do that too.
Okay. Did you want to weigh in based on your experience?
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was going to ask you anyway, so.
Okay, 2 things. One, it's great that you've got people that are disinterested and committed. You're a step ahead of, a lot of other situations where these positions or these efforts go begging for people to work on them. So that's really good. My 2 concerns are, one, I want their efforts to be rewarded, not wasted. So I think they're, one of, when I talked to Selectman Darcy about this, one of the things that I've seen work well is to have a representative of each committee on, or as a liaison to the committee, to the playground committee, so that they have direct access to the people that are going to implement the things that they're advocating for. And
I'm sorry, do you mean a representative from the departments?
like a DPW member or a school committee member, because you're absolutely right. And the frustrating part about this is playgrounds on a school property, it's got DPW maintenance, and so, there's who runs what and who does what, and that can be confusing. And then if you're trying to get CPC funding or something like that, then it gets more confusing. And to make it, so if we could just, if if the school committee had a liaison, if DPW had a liaison to the playground committee, if this board had a liaison, I think it could work more effectively, because you're keeping those boards informed of what they're advocating for, and they can make it their mission too. They can enhance, The second thing is when you're bringing up fundraising. It's a great idea, and it is possible, and I'm not trying to dampen the enthusiasm for it. But when it becomes an official town committee, then the way that the funding is solicited and collected has to be done in a very special way that accounting can help with, so that you don't end up having stuff go into the general fund when you want it to go into a special fund for the playgrounds, or it does not take on an appearance that the town is fundraising inappropriately. So it just has to, you have to create a certain fund that the accounting department can do. We ran into this in Norwell with the beautification committee, and the people that were on that wanted to kill me because they were fundraising, and I said, oh, wait, you gotta go meet the accountant. So I'd rather get out ahead of that so that it doesn't become an issue.
Right, and I think that those finer points are why the select board is the board that has to put this together, because you guys have all those puzzle pieces. You have the town administrator and legal to work with on that. I would be happy to be the liaison from the DPW.
Figured you would.
I don't know, somehow I'm like a playground person now. Yeah. But it's all good. So, and then I don't know if anybody from the school department would want to do it, or recreation, but we can certainly reach out to them.
Yeah, totally. So it sounds like maybe a hybrid mix where we have liaisons from town boards or departments and citizens on the committee as well, working together. So there's a good line of communication would work really well. So I think that, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think there is support to create the playground committee, and now we just want to make sure we structure it well so that we empower them to be effective and make decisions and not get stuck in neutral, just making recommendations. So I don't know if you want to hash it all out tonight, or just know that we're going to create this committee, and then in between now and our next meeting, we get the names and the liaisons and the departments and the citizens, if you think that would be a good avenue to go down.
I don't think you can hash it all out tonight, right? Because there's lots of pieces to that.
Sure.
But yes, I'll definitely send the names to Peter, and then I don't know, maybe I'll reach out to the schools and see if superintendent knows anybody that wants to.
Totally, yeah.
One of the principals was really interested at our meeting.
That sounds
Hubbard, Mrs. Hubbard. Yeah, I don't know if she's interested in the playground committee. I just remember her speaking at our meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll reach out to the schools.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, definitely for peace of mind, to guarantee it's going to happen, we could do a motion on the lines of, we'll direct our town administrator to work with all the relevant town departments and boards to establish the structure of a playground committee that will vote on to establish at a future date, just to show that it's going to happen. We just want to make sure we do it right so everyone's empowered to succeed, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, and I wanted to be here, as soon as possible after the last meeting because I know it's going to take time to get this all structured. So I appreciate getting on the agenda for tonight.
Yeah, makes sense. That's all I have.
Trish?
No, I agree. We are liaisons to all the different committees, just so that we're a voice for you, and you could always come to one of us, but we are all appointed to different committees, and it seems to work so that you're not running to Steve, so it's same person all the time.
Right.
So it's very helpful. You might also want to look at CPC, someone on CPC, just in case that comes up and you're looking for funds, just a suggestion. But no, I think it sounds like a great idea.
Thank you.
I would suggest, Diane, yes, forward us the names, and then give us your thoughts of what you would like to see the playground committee look like. And that way, we got an idea, and then we can incorporate our thoughts into it, and then move forward in regards to how we establish this. That sound all right?
Okay. What more do you want from me as far as what it looks like?
I'll just put it in writing. So if you-
Basically what I just told
put
you,
put
or?
everything in writing.
Just send
Send it
them,
to Peter. Peter can forward it to us, or you can send it to the select board.
Okay.
In general. So,
Great. Perfect.
you know.
Okay. Are you voting on this or not, or no?
I don't think so. I think, 'cause I think we.
You have it listed as a vote, because,
Just for peace of mind for folks, I'll just make a motion that we instruct our town administrator to work with the relevant town departments and boards and citizen applicants to determine a structure for the playground committee to present at a future meeting date within the next 3 meetings. Is there a second?
Second?
I'm trying to get that all in my head. What is it again now?
Basically, that we direct Peter to work with all the relevant town boards and departments to kind of determine a structure for the playground committee to present to the board at our future meeting. And just to give folks peace of mind that we're going to keep the train moving, I said we would do it at one of our next 3 meeting dates.
All right, I can go with that, yeah.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll
You
second.
seconded it, sorry, Trish.
Aye.
Thanks, aye.
Aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, action item number 5, discussion and vote on opioid fund grants. Trish Simpson, co-chair of the opioid fund committee, can give some details on this request. So Trish, do you want to?
Well, at this time, I'd like to invite Michael LaSalva and Mary Price up from the opioid fund committee, and they're going to tell us about the grants that we looked over.
You guys doing?
I'm good, Mike. How you doing tonight?
Good, good. So, we're gonna talk to you a little bit about the opioid fund settlement funds that became available to the town. Recently, within the last year, I think the committee formed within the last year or so. Last August, yeah. So, and we meet monthly to discuss what we were gonna do with the money, and we came up with a grant application, a framework for that. So basically, I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. Mary's going to give some insight into some of the awards and what they're actually for, and a little overview of that. So what we came up with was we opened the grant submission period on May 1st, and we received 5 applications. With each application has 7 focus points that has to be brought forward and put forth for consideration to be awarded the funds. So and that's opioid use disorder treatment, support for people in treatment and recovery, connections to care, harm reduction, needs of criminal justice involved persons, support pregnant or parenting women and their families, including babies with neonatal abstinence syndrome, prevent misuse of opioids, and implement prevention education. So that's basically the framework for the grant. In the 5 applications we received, they all met that criteria. So I'm just going to go over the 5 organizations that we agreed to award funds to, and I'll give you the the amounts and just a little brief overview of what they are. So the first one was the James P. Harrington Foundation, or JPH. They're going to be awarded $16,050. That's if you guys vote on it. I want to say that they're definitely getting it, pending your approval. And that's for 4 separate programs, including daytime mothers programs, annual trauma and substance use prevention conference, and mothers exhaustion online meditation program, and sober socials. The Boys and Girls Club of Marshfield, they applied, and the amount we suggest to award them was $16,850, and that is going to be for a part-time moves and triple play coordinator at 20 hours a week, and that's somebody that will oversee a program that directly involves like activities and education on prevention and misuse of substances. The Ventress Library, they put in for a $5,000 request for what's called Read to Recovery. And this amount will cover materials like literature and things of that nature. It includes programs like speakers and presentations at the library. They're going to designate like a space in the library for this to run this program. So, and it also includes staff training. And they're going to, a big need they had was getting people to the library. So part of this is transportation. So some of that money is going to be used to actually get people to the library. Fourth one is Drug Story Theater. They put in for a $20,000 request, and that's going to be for 5 shows, 2 of them at Marshfield High School, 1 at the JPH on Ferry Street, and 1 at the Boys and Girls Club of Marshfield, and it also includes an online prevention education program. So that was the max amount that in this round that organizations could apply for, and we decided through the subcommittee that that was worthy of that. So the last one, Marshfield Facts, great organization here in town that does a lot of good things. So grandparents and kinder care, like a program for that, and a survey, data collection with statistical analysis and presentation, totaling $12,100. And that's the first round we decided, I think when we sat down, we cap it off at $70,000, so everything is that's $70,000 through those 5 requests. And all grants were, applications were reviewed by a subcommittee of Select Board Member Trish Simpson, Superintendent Patrick Sullivan, and myself. And all of these were run through a rubric that Trish came up with, made it very easy to understand and score easily. And we ran them through that, and that's how we came to where we are. And then we scored them accordingly. So that's pretty much a brief overview of this round. I think October was the next round we're going to open it up to, and I'll let Mary touch on any points that I missed, because I'm sure I missed some.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, one of the first things I'll talk about is the fact that prior to putting out the applications, the RFPs, the committee did do a needs assessment survey in Marshfield. So that was publicized as well as we could, word of mouth, social media, that type of thing. The response rate was typical for a survey like that, and so that all of these grants reflected the interest and the needs that people identified through that survey. What I like about all these grants is that Marshfield Facts is a coalition. They don't do tons of, program work or that kind of thing, but the goal is to kind of pull all these community agencies together. And that's been the catalyst for a lot of this collaboration for these grants. all of these members serve on that committee, attend committee meetings, and really collaborate. Narcan or naloxone is a big issue in almost all of these programs too, in some way, tie in education for Narcan or accessibility for Narcan. So there's great overlaps in all these programs, and then they continue to work together through Marshfield Facts. So we were really pleased with the results, support all of it. Like Mike said, we had started out and just decided on a $70,000 cap for the first round just to get things rolling, see how it was going to apply, how this was going to play out, and had planned to do a subsequent round in October in the event that the RFP responses exceeded that $70,000. And in fact, they actually did. A couple of organizations were willing to pull back applications and say, okay, we'll try to refund them in October. And so that worked well. And again, that goes to the collaboration among all these agencies in Marshfield, that people were willing to do that. So now going forward, we have still lots of work to do. Again, a second grant round, and then really defining where this committee can go and what it can do. I think it's 2038 we're funded through. And the original intent was to front load it so people could get their programs together and then, back off the funding as people became sustainable. And that was a piece that we looked at in every grant, was the sustainability of the programs, or if they were one-off programs, or if they needed a plan for sustainability.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much,
What's your questions?
yeah.
Yeah, how do you, let's start with the drugstore theater. There's a request for $20,000 for multiple performances. So, seems like a high amount. What are we looking for number of performances? What does it entail? I mean, justify the $20,000 for me, please.
So they put in for 5 different shows and an online education platform, where they'll go to, they're doing 2 at Marshfield High School, they'll do 1 at the JPH Center on Ferry Street, and at the Boys and Girls Club.
Can I speak to that too?
If you want to add information to it,
Well,
absolutely.
I'm on the committee. So they're matching it actually with the 20,000. So we're awarding 20,000, but they're matching it. And I also have seen the drugstore theater, and it's very powerful to see these people. They have to share their story and act out their story, and that's part of their recovery. And I went to one of the parent showings years ago, and I just think it's a wonderful organization, but the fact that they're willing to match that 20.
So who's matching the 20,000?
Drugstore Theater. They have the other fundraising that they've done, so they're able to match that. So, I mean, this is a really incredible program. You don't have all the background.
Well, that's why I'm asking the questions right now. So,
Right,
I mean, all these that I'm looking at, all right, so the Drugstore Theater has requested $20,000 for multiple performances. So is it Drugstore Theater or is it somebody else? But then you're telling me that they're matching 20,000? So this is what I'm trying to
So
understand.
these are grants that are being funded by the opioid fund
Yep.
that the town is receiving. So we're awarding these grants. So one thing we look at is, are they able to get funding from other places as well as putting forth this grant? So, to show that they need the 20,000, but they're willing to put up the other 20,000. Because they're traveling, they have expenses that they need to meet. Also for recovery.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get to understand the details in regards to this. So the 20,000 for the expenses, like you're saying, who's getting that? Like, when you say traveling, like,
The Drugstore Theater, it's a company that's created, it was created by a doctor. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah. Drugstore Theater. It's run by Dr. Joe Schrand, who's a psychiatrist in addiction medicine, youth addiction medicine, that sort of thing. And this program is for youth in recovery, typically high school age youth in recovery. And so a lot goes into setting up the performances. They meet on a regular basis, share their stories. They have somebody who then writes them into this performance. So, the kids themselves aren't just, it's it's not improv with the kids. It's scripted and produced that way. But the other part of the program is that because they meet so frequently and because they're in recovery, they're not necessarily 100% sober at this point. These are kids who are working towards that and they're being supported. So in addition to the performances and doing what they can do through that venue, they also have the opportunity to be meeting on a regular basis with, he goes by Dr. Joe, Dr. Schrand. So they regularly have contact and check-ins during their rehearsals and that sort of thing with the psychiatrist and other supportive staff. And so there's a lot that goes in, and as Trish said, they have travel, they have meals. You know, when they come to the high school to do the 2 shows, it's very powerful because they do it during the day for the students, and then they do it at night for the parents. And at that point, the parents are interested in what do the kids hear during the day. And so it's one of the most popular or well-attended events for parents. And we all know getting folks out of the house these days is extremely challenging. And so for that to happen, you know, that's a kudos to them. Again, and they're also another program that ties Narcan into the performances because these kids have all experienced either themselves or people they've been around overdoses. And so it's a way to educate high school students and families about the importance of Narcan, whether you think there's an issue in your home or not. So like Trish said, there's a lot, and it's a whole program as opposed to just here's your script, do it, and off you go. There's a lot more to it in terms of helping these kids in recovery. And hearing youth voices, that's what you are going to respond to.
So you have the Ventures Memorial Library seeks $5,000 to develop an in-library resource center focused on addiction, mental health, and recovery support, modeled after similar efforts in other communities. So can you explain what in regards to the 5,000, what is the in-library resource center?
There's a couple of towns. Plymouth most notably started it a few years back, and Plymouth Public Library is big, but they have like a reserved area. They call it a recovery corner is the name for it, and it has all kinds of recovery resources for people. Like I said, it's a little bit separate, and I think Ventris is talking about the same thing because we all know there's still a lot of stigma attached to substance use, and so it's kind of like a separate area with resources. And I also think the library wants to have a dedicated section for books for parents on substance use, you know, literature for anybody who's interested in, you know, exploring substance use with someone in their family, for themselves, which again is why it's important to have that sort of isolated area. So I think a majority of the expenses will be books and materials to have in that. And they also have talked about expanding a little bit to work with BAMSI out of Brockton and do some speakers and that sort of thing. And again, I'm not positive on whether the Ventures will also have Narcan available there. The Plymouth Plymouth Library does, as well as Situate. And again, it's more private area, so they're able to be discreet if people want to access Narcan.
They're also going to receive another $1,500 in state aid, so that's something else that will be put towards.
So 5 plus 15, what are you saying?
6,500 total.
Okay, so when you say like I guess you look at a separate area, I guess for books or whatever, are you looking to enclose with walls or something like that, or?
I'm not sure how they're planning to set it up. You know, I just think the concept is that it would be just a little bit off the beaten path.
I don't think they're looking for it to redo any infrastructure or anything. I think it's just going to be a designated area that is closed off and quiet so that they can focus on that one topic.
Okay.
Can I just interject?
Yeah, absolutely.
In that almost all of the grants, I think all of the grants did not rely solely on the Opioid Fund Committee for their funding. They all have another type of income, whether it's in-kind income, grant income, that sort of thing. So all of these grants reflect people going out and seeking alternative funding for the programs as well. And that, you know, leads to sustainability as well.
So on the Marshfield Boys and Girls Club, they're requesting $20,000 for their Building Resilience and Wellness in Marshfield Youth, Smart Moves and Triple Play program. So can you explain what that is?
I can't go too into depth into that program, because I don't know all the ins and outs, but what I will say is that it's well documented, well evidenced that positive mental health in youth is a preventative factor for kids not to use substances. I mean, we all know the Boys and Girls Club, anything they do is based on a lot of research and, Boys and Girls Club of America types of programs. But that is what I will say, that enhancing mental health in youth is a preventative factor.
All right, so what you're saying is that at the moment, nobody has an idea of what kind of programs?
It's a targeted audience, I believe, from kids about 6 to 14 to 15. And what they're asking for is a designated program coordinator, part-time, about 20 hours a week, to run this program. And this is to get them off the ground, really, to try and get it, to get some traction and see what kind of success they have with it, which it sounds like it would be successful because you have a captive audience and it's interactive, like through activities and instead of it's not just somebody sitting there talking to these kids of that age. They're actually getting out, being physical. It's from the reviewing the grant, it's very positive.
So I'm going to be in the impression that this seems like it's a pilot program at the moment? Is that the way it would be fair to look at it?
Yeah, it would be their first attempt at it.
Okay, so they're going to build off that from there.
And they did ask for 20,000, but because the grants came in at over 79,000, we only had 70,000 to spend. So we're only awarding them at this time 16,850, but their program starts in September of this year and runs through August. So we're going to recommend that they reapply for the October. What do you call it?
The rest of it.
Thank you.
The balance?
Yes, so that hopefully this will at least allow them to get started.
And we did put in the RFP that pilot programs were encouraged to apply. If somebody was applying for a pilot, encourage that.
Okay, so it just sounds like that the Boys and Girls Club is going to try some new program. They're going to see what works and see what they can build off from there, and then from there off and running. At least they'll have a better idea, I guess, going forward, what works, what doesn't, and everything. So I don't think I have any questions really on the other issues. Steve, do you have any questions on any of this?
Just a few comments. I hope people can appreciate the sheer amount of hours that every member of the committee has put into the selection process, and that you did go through a lot of effort to make sure that it's a qualitative process and that there's not subjectivity to it. So the rubrics that you touched on, and that there's just a standardized process you have to make sure that that money gets awarded based on merit. And the duality of drug story theater is fascinating because it's not just for the education of the audience, but like you talked about, the performers are recovering addicts, and so it's almost like performative therapy for them. So what kind of show do you get to see where the beneficiary is both the performer and the audience? So it's fascinating, and that's something that's had a big impact in the community for a long time, and something that I think the DA's office is very aware of and works closely with drug story theater as well. And so I appreciate all the work that you guys have put in. I mean, the effect on our communities has just been heartbreaking. And one of the sad things about addiction is you get to the point where you're stuck in a cycle where your fixation isn't chasing the experience of something, but the fear of the absence of it and the withdrawal. and you just get stuck in this permanent state of numbness. And so it's just really heartbreaking, and it's just comforting to know the people that we have on our opioid committee for our town, that we did pick some great people. And as much as we're trying to undo the damage of the past, just keep in mind that you're going to help so many people moving forward, and that's all we can do, right, is address the problem in front of us and try to do better going forward. And so I hope that's one of the things that you can savor and enjoy, you know, with all the headaches that come with this. This is a really tangible, positive thing that you're doing. So I hope that you guys appreciate that and know that, and thank you.
Thank you. I think you're gonna see some very positive outcomes from, as this rolls out too. This is the first round ever, so
Yeah.
as it moves forward, it's gonna be that much more beneficial. Thank you.
What's that, Steve?
Yes.
Trish?
Mary touched upon the fact that these all are wonderful organizations that we have in our community within reach. And one thing I loved about going through these grants is seeing how they're working together. So it really creates continuity and synergy, and it brings people together. And I think that's a big piece to help these individuals, people in recovery, is just knowing, losing the stigma, knowing that there's support, knowing that there's multiple organizations that want to help them. I just think it was very rewarding to go through and see these grants, and I love that. You know, I think we're very lucky to have them so close.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Joe Schrein lives in Marshfield, so. Yeah, so, yeah.
Those who do not,
Yeah.
those who do
I
not
knew
know.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, do you two have anything to add?
No, I mean,
Good?
you know, it's been a nice, organized, well-thought-out process for us to go through all these grants, have a subcommittee, recommend it to the committee, and now bring it to this committee for approval.
Okay. You ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to motion, I move to authorize the Opioid Fund Committee to disperse grants to the following organizations: Marshfield Boys and Girls Club, Marshfield Facts, Drug Story Theater, Ventures Memorial Library, and JPH Organization in the amounts recommended by the Opioid Fund Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Nice,
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And we'll be back again in Yes.
See you in the fall.
Good, oh, thank you.
All right, article, action, item number 6. This would be donations, accept a donation of $2,000 from Mr. and Mrs. Paul Von Protz of West Bridgewater, Mass. The donations will be used to provide assistance for health and welfare, morale, and/or financial need of our veterans and their dependents. Steve, any comments or questions?
Thank you for the generous donation.
Trish?
No?
Say as well, thank you. I move to approve the request from Veteran Services to accept donations of $2,000 from Mr. and Mrs. Paul Von Protz of West Bridgewater, Mass. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. So Levitate Music Festival common victual licenses. The following people have already submitted application and have been to the Board of Health: Anon's Thai Cuisine, Binge Barbecue, Broccoli Bar, Cheese Louise, Crepe Shop, Fomu Ice Cream, Hero Hospitality, Hometown Poke and Bubble Tea, JC's Dairy, Lovin' Cup, Lumpia Brothers, Matilda Empanadas, Mike's Amazing, Pison's Pizza, Pizza Nova, Smash City Smash Burgers, Surfing Coconut, The Chef's Table, The Lemon Press, Tika's Tacos, Umani Bites, Dank Nugs, Island Creek Oysters, Lumpia Brothers, Unami Bites, Professional Catering Services, Blue Diamond Almonds, Cayman's, Cultural Pop, Dillon's. In the past, the board has approved common victual license applications in advance, contingent on receipt of the necessary paperwork and fee, $10 per license. Some of the applicants come from long distances and come in right before Levitate, asking for a license. We keep a log as applied, and the license number is given to them, as well as a copy of each license granted. If you wish to do this, you could vote on all additional common victular license applicants contingent upon the receipt of necessary paperwork and fee and an approved Board of Health. We will put out a blank license for you to sign, which we copy fill in upon necessary applicants. So I will motion. I move to grant temporary common victular license to the aforementioned businesses and any other applicants for food stands at the Levitate Festival on July 12th and 13th, 2025, from 12:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m., contingent upon receipt of necessary paperwork, payment and fee, and approval of the Board of Health. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Move.
Thank you.
Did he say aye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're good.
You all right? Victual license for Sunday Society. Name of applicant, Levitate Music and Arts Festival, Becky Mitchell, LMF Vendor Director, Marshfield Fairgrounds, 140 Main Street, Marshfield, Mass. The name of the business would be Levitate Music and Arts Festival. Date of event, July 12th and 13th, July 13th. Hours of operation, between 12:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Number of food stands, 28. Signature on hand is Becky Mitchell, signed 6/17/2025. And that's it. Any comments or questions?
No, thank you.
Steve? Trish? Any? So, I move to grant an annual common victuals license. Did I have that right? I know this is lining up with the motions are lining up with the agenda. I've got 8 here. Doesn't match up. You know, I'm gonna skip that one for the moment. I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna go with 9, because that's the one I have here, I think. Or number 8 on Brittany LaRossi. Actually, that is number 8. What is this one?
Oh, you're good.
Number 7?
The 7
Or-
was the list.
Oh, wait a minute.
Number 8.
Oh, the list was part of the.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, all right, so I should have read all that together before we voted, right?
No, you're good.
We good?
Good.
All right. Let's see here. Brittany LaRossi, 22 Blue Rock Hill Lane. Name of business, Sunday Society. Business address, 1810 Ocean Street. Hours of operation, Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 9. Friday to Saturday, 11 to 10 p.m. Other information, Smash Burger, Ice Cream, Concepts. Brittany LaRossi, 6/4/25. Everything appears to be good. With the Board of Health and the Building Commissioner. So, do you have any questions, Steve?
No, thank you.
Trish?
No, thanks.
Okay, so, motion, I move to grant an annual common victual license to Brittany LaRossi for Sunday Society at 1810 Ocean Street, contingent on approval of the Board of Health and Building Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Number 9. Let's see. So let's see, to whom it may concern, this email is being sent to inform the Board of Selectmen of upcoming activities concerning the Wrexham Beach Community Association. On Friday, July 4th, rain date, Saturday, July 5th, we will be having our annual Horribles Parade. The parade forms at the corner of Standish and Fields at 10:40 a.m. and the parade begins at 11 a.m. The parade route runs down Standish Street, turns right onto Charlotte Street, and then proceeds down to the Beach Street area. Following the parade is a cookout on the beach. A permit from the Marshfield Fire Department will be in place. There will also be relay races and games for children. On several Friday nights, there are dances with the DJ scheduled at the Wrexham Beach parking lot. The dates are as follows. Friday, July 11th, Friday, July 25th, Friday, August 8th, Friday, August 22nd. The dances are from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you for your attention on these matters. Any questions, concerns, please feel free to contact me, Patty Thompson. The fire department has no issues. I don't think the police have any issues. Comments or questions, Steve?
No, thank you.
Trish, comments or questions?
No, thanks.
I move to approve the request for the Wrexham Beach Community Association to hold their annual Horribles Parade and cookout at Wrexham Beach on July 4th, 2025. Rain date, July 5th, 2025. Beginning at 11 a.m. on the Friday night dances in Wrexham Beach parking lot on July 11th, August 8th, and August 22nd, 2025, contingent on organizers getting a permit from the fire department for the cookout and police traffic detail during the parade. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. So this is request for a one-day extension of license, Brant Rock Ocean Cafe, DBA 291 Ocean Street. So we respectfully submit this written request on behalf of Brant Rock Ocean Cafe, DBA 291 Ocean Street, for a one-day extension of use of our entertainment and liquor license. Please see the attached map and requested information. Tip certification will be in hand for the upcoming select board meeting. Entertainment will consist of a dunk tank on site, and proceeds go to support MEF and some of their members involved. We are in contact with Marshfield Police Department and request details and have received preliminary verbal approval. Handicap parking has been moved per the provided map. There will be two 10-by-10 tents and shown on the plot plan from noon to 7 p.m. The reasons we are trying to execute this are, given the heavy foot traffic of this day, the more places people have to get entertainment and beverage and ongoing and congregate, the better. Having an outdoor area will help us address heavy demand on that day and aiding and ensuring our capacities to promote a safe holiday. The outdoor area will be wrapped up before the fireworks shows begin to avoid confusion and open the parking lot again to pass through foot traffic. And they provide an outline of how they're going to set the parking lot up. And the police appears to have no issues. Fire appears to have no issues. Any questions or comments, Steve?
No, it seems like they ran it by, like you said, police and fire, and there weren't any issues. I just have one question. Just what's the game plan that you guys have, just since there's going to be a reduction in on-site parking, just in terms of maybe just directing or communicating with your patrons?
My understanding is that the parking on that day is it's encouraged not to drive down there on that day. So that wasn't something that we've fully thought of. Again, our instruction understanding was that driving down there wasn't really
Sure.
encouraged.
Do you guys have a candidate selected yet for the dunk tank?
A lot of the members of the MEF and on the board and some of the teachers that said are going to participate, so we're excited.
Cool.
I nominate you.
Fair enough. We'll do a poll. How about we do a poll?
There you go.
I think I would top that list.
Fair enough. Thanks.
Trish, you have any comments or questions?
No, it's a great day.
Okay. I move to approve a one-day extension of the entertainment license of all alcohol restaurant liquor license to include a portion of the parking lot at 291 Ocean Street on July 3rd, 2025, from 12 o'clock p.m.
until 7 p.m., contingent on the approval by the police and fire departments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Action 11, discussion and vote to set fee for farmer's market alcoholic beverages permit. So Peter, can you kind of highlight this?
Sure.
for
So
us?
what's becoming increasingly prevalent in farmers markets is requests to sell, beverages that contain alcohol. The ABCC has become more accommodating for that. And so you're being asked to do two things. One, to set a fee for for applicants that, for tonight and may come in the future. And secondly, to act on whether to approve or deny an application for that sale. So Attorney Galvin has given you some information about the range of charges, and I can add, he noted Easton charges 50, and Canton charges 150 for these things. Braintree is right in the middle at 100. So that's
What's Braintree charge?
100.
100.
Yeah. So it's, it's in that ballpark. It's not a major revenue source, but it does make sure that the person or the applicant is serious. So I have not sampled sour, not sorry, brewing, so I cannot give any recommendations on that.
Can you say it 10 times fast?
No, I can't.
So how many, Braintree, how often do you have these
It's
come up?
It's become part of the scene. We have mead sales in Braintree, which is like real sweet wine. I don't recommend that, but that's what gets sold at our farmers market. It's a constant now.
So is it becoming a popular thing?
It's something that, that has a customer base, sure. And, I don't think it's going to be an adverse competition for your licensed purveyors, your bars and your liquor stores and stuff like that, because this is like a niche product.
Right.
It's also not going to be served there, correct? Or is there tasting? I'm not.
It's off-site with tasting permitted.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not like it's not a pour application, it's just a sampling. So we've had no difficulty with it. I've seen no difficulty with it.
So when we say sampling, we're looking at.
They give you
Dixie-
like a 1
Dixie
ounce
cups?
sample, like at a
Don't know what
wine
it
tasting.
tastes like.
So we have an established rule in regards to sample glasses in town? How this is gonna work, or do we need
If
to
they're
establish
going-
that, or how are we looking at this?
We'd watch. I mean, if you get complaints about it, that they're serving. These people aren't gonna, they'd be put out of business if they're serving like 8-ounce pours or something.
All right. So it's kind of a self-policing thing is what you're saying?
Yeah,
They know the rules?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
All sampling is limited to, one person can have 5 samples, and all samples are limited to 1 ounce.
So how do they
They-
keep track of the person? Do they have to give them a card, or what, or how?
I've never seen it done with a card, but generally speaking, they might have 5 products, so you'd be able to sample up to 5, and the person that's serving it and selling it is responsible to police it. And we do rely on the honor system because we don't typically have police at those type of events, but if there was a complaint and it were to be substantiated, we would never issue the license again. And it could affect the farmer's market. So there's a really good faith effort to do the right thing. I mean, this person's coming here, they want to sell the product, and if they violate your trust, you're going to tell everybody else in every other community that they violated your trust here, and they're out of business.
Yeah, they're not making money on free samples, so.
They aren't.
Anybody that add, Steve?
Yeah, it's more so just say, let's say they have 3 different product offerings, and sour mixed beer can really be hit or miss. So they'd say, all right, you're gonna pick one of these 4 packs to take home with you to purchase. Here's a sample to make sure you're confident you're getting one that you're probably gonna like. So it makes sense to me. Yeah, they're not. It's not really in their economic incentive to give out too many free samples. They want you to buy a 4-pack or a 6-pack of these craft offerings to take home and consume at home. So I just feel like the big issue for us is just the amount that we want to charge. So I know Jenna did some research. Easton charges $50 for an annual permit. Canton does $150, and really that's just, these fees with these applications are always just to cover the administrative costs. So in determining a number, I would just kind of defer to our professional staff because they would have a stronger idea of the time they put in to prepare these. So I would just defer to a recommendation from our professional staff what they think a fair fee amount would be to charge to cover the administrative cost.
I think any of these, anything between, I think 50 is on the low end. I would go a little bit higher, but because our staff is so outstanding.
It's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, so I would say 100 is fair.
There is a note here, and I do recommend we make a discount for Marshfield, people that live in Marshfield, that if they're going for this, so maybe make that 50 and then everyone else 100.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
I just,
That's fair.
once again, they're our peeps.
Yeah.
No,
Gotta
that's fair.
take care of them.
That's fair.
Yeah, so 50 for native Marshfield residential
native.
businesses, and then 100 for yeah.
Is that legal?
It is fair to have a resident, yeah, you can have,
Yeah, it's
you
just
can
a
set up the
resident
rates any way you want.
All right, just want to make sure on that, so.
You're good.
All right, so we want to set it at $100 for out-of-towners?
We can call it the Trish Simpson My Peeps doctrine.
So let's see. $100 for, what is it, out of town?
Well, I would just
For
say
non-residents
$100
and
per
residents.
year and then.
Non-residents? I like
Yeah,
that,
non-residents.
yeah,
Or just say a
non-residents.
discount for Marshfield residents.
Non-residents. And $50 for residents. All right. I move to set the annual fee for a farmer's market alcoholic beverage permit at $100 per year for non-residents, $50 per year for residents. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Action item number 12, application to farmer's market alcoholic beverage permit. Sorry, not sorry brewery. So let's see, farmer's market permit application, municipality Marshfield. This is under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 15F. Content information, Mark Crociati, am I saying that right, does anybody know? Owner and CEO. Entity name, Sour Not Sorry Brewery, LLC, DBA Sour Not Sorry Brewery. Manager of record, Colin Crociati. Premises address, 8A Court Street. License number FB-LIC-000322. ABCC, license type 19C, Farmer Brewery. It's out of Plymouth. The date of events, the summer, June through September on Fridays. Event address, 140 Main Street, Marshfield, Mass. 02050. Described area to be licensed, Marshfield Fairgrounds and Agricultural Fair and Farmers Market. Let's see, existing licenses to manufacture, export, and sell at retail. Federal U.S. government, Federal Farmers License, 88 Court Street, State of Massachusetts Farmers, 88 Court Street, Town of Plymouth Farmers Brewer Pouring, 88 Court Street. Then you have Transportation and Delivery, Colin Cruciati, Transportation and Delivery Permit, Mark Cruciati, Transportation and Delivery Permit, Susan Cruciati, Delivery Permit FB-LIC-00322, and then disclosure of disciplinary action, no. And there's a letter here from the Department of Agricultural Resources. Certificate in there for Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of State Treasurer, Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, with a farmer brewer license. Transportation and Delivery Permit. The plate number is 7GT149, and that's all I have. Steve, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Trish, any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
I move to grant an annual farmers market alcoholic beverages permit to Mark Koshadi, Sour Not Sorry Brewing, LLC, to sell beer at the Marshfield Farmers Market at the Marshfield Fairgrounds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. And acceptance of minutes. I move to accept the select board meeting open session minutes of June 9th, 2025, and June 16th, 2025 as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 And we have two other executive session meetings still pending before us, and that is the Marshfield versus Opioid Companies and the Town of Marshfield versus Commonwealth of Mass and EOLHLC. And we will not return to open session. So I'm going to put a motion. I move to go into executive session, discuss and vote the strategy with respect to pending litigation. If an open meeting has a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the town and the select board, and the chair so declares pursuant Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to wit, Marshfield versus Opioid Companies, Town of Marshfield versus Commonwealth of Mass and EOLHLC, not to return to open session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you.